Jim Carrey was initially offered $350,000, about $600,000 today, for the role of Lloyd Christmas in Dumb and Dumber, but turned it down, asking for $400,000, about $690,000 today. The studio said no. But then Ace Ventura came out and was an unexpected hit. About a week after the film debuted, the studio agreed to the $400,000 price tag. But this time, Carrey turned it down, wanting $500,000. The studio said no once again. But then Ace Ventura continued to rake in the money in the box office week after week. Round and round they went until a deal was struck for about $7 million, about $12 million today, which comprised about 44% of the entire $16 million budget of the film. Dumb and Dumber ultimately went on to gross around $250 million, about $430 million today. Now, in contrast to Jim Carrey's $7 million payday for Dumb and Dumber, Jeff Daniels was only paid about $50,000, about $86,000 today, according to co-director Bobby Farrelly. The reason for such a low salary, despite Daniels being a much more successful actor up to that point than Carrey, was the studio was dead set against casting Daniels for the role, owing to his lack of experience in the comedy genre. However, both the Farrelly brothers and Carrey wanted Daniels, thanks in large part to his straight-faced ability to play off whatever Carrey was doing in a scene. As Bobby Farrelly stated, Jeff was pushing him in places that no other actors were pushing him. Jeff's real, he plays things straight and he reacts to whatever you're doing. Jeff gets up there and he does not know what he's going to do until he sees what you're doing, and then he plays off that. He's a genius at doing that. The studio finally gave in, but only offered Daniels $50,000, thinking he'd surely pass the role up at that price. Daniels' own agents also attempted something of an intervention when they heard he wanted to accept the role, stating, according to Daniels, "We're going to stop this. You're not going to do this movie, and we're going to keep you on the Oscar trail." He ignored them all and took the part. However, Daniels later said his agents had been correct, and to quote him, "I think easily for 10 years because of the success of Dumb and Dumber, I was no longer taken seriously." Even after shooting on Dumb and Dumber had already started, the studio still attempted to find an excuse to fire Daniels, but ultimately backed off efforts to get rid of him after seeing the first week's worth of footage. And speaking of Dumb and Dumber, Lloyd Christmas's chipped tooth on the film was not the result of some prosthetic, but rather that Jim Carrey genuinely has a chipped tooth. As to how he chipped it, Carrey stated in a 1995 interview, "This happened when Clark LaPrairie jumped on my head in grade school detention. He had long had it capped, but decided to have the cap removed for the movie to give the character a bit of a goofy grin."